Okay, welcome to the sixth form curriculum launch. I'm Richard Healy. I am the department coordinator in sixth form, and I'm just going to introduce you to two of my colleagues. So,
I'm Charlotte in
okay, so this is what we're going to do in our presentation today. Is we are going to talk about the intent, which is what we want our curriculum to do. We're going to talk about the implementation of our curriculum, how we're going to do that within sixth form, and we're also going to talk about the impact. So how are we going to know we've achieved our intentions? Okay, so those are the things I'm going to go through. Charlotte's going to introduce the intent of our curriculum.
our curriculum is to want our students toward adulthood. We also want them to transition, have a smooth transition post Sevendale into whether that's employment or social care pathway. Our curriculum is mostly going to be focused around the preparing for adulthood outcomes. So that's independent living, good health, community inclusion, and employment. But our curriculum is going to be split into two separate cohorts. So we'll have the semi-formal curriculum and the pre-formal curriculum. So it'll be following on through the school. The pre-formal curriculum will be more focused on a social care pathway, whereas the semi-formal curriculum will be focused more around employment and voluntary work. Both of them will have a focus on good health and independent living as well, and accessing the local community.
Amazing, Charlotte. I think I'm just going to try and explain a little bit more in detail what Charlotte was talking about the different cohorts, because in recent years the groupings within the school have changed. Okay, so 5 years ago they had groupings which were called SLD, MLD, PMLD, CLDD, and then now people are talking about semi-formal, formal, pre-formal, and some parents have kind of suggested that they're not exactly sure what those sorts of things mean. So I'm just going to explain a little bit more about those. So a formal curriculum and the formal department are the MLD students, so the moderate learning disability students. Okay, so students who are working a little bit below national curriculum levels, okay, which are the most able students that we have in Sevendale. So semi-formal department is a slightly more curriculum where students can explore things in different ways, involving some sort of sensory input to their needs, and kind of learning initially through play, and then developing those skills that they're going to need in their independent lives. And the pre-formal curriculum, students with profound and multiple learning difficulties, and our most complex needs students. So a significant number of sensory requirements to engage in the curriculum, and the teaching of each of those cohorts would look quite different. Okay, so when at the age of in year 11, the cohorts tend to split here at Sevendale. So at Sevendale, the students who are following a pre-formal and a semi-formal pathway would stay on at sixth form in Sevendale, and those students who are in the formal department would tend to go over to futures. Okay, it's not always the case with all of those things. It's not every formal student will go to futures. Some formal students would benefit from learning styles at sixth form. and some semi-formal students might also be able to access futures as well. But that's sort of the way that the curriculums are meant to be designed. Okay, so the implementation of the curriculum, how we're going to do that in sixth form, one of the things that is really, really vital for us to be able to do is a blended approach to on-site and off-site learning. Okay, and that has never really been more prevalent than this year, where we've had to learn significantly more on-site. Okay, so last year, lots of the opportunities were off-site opportunities, and the focus was all around the off-site opportunities. But this year, through COVID and not being able to go off-site, we've needed to develop a curriculum which has a significant impact for an on-site learning. And that's something that we've done this year, and we've felt that the students have really benefited from, and thought we can't go back to just having a fully off-site based curriculum. We need to blend those two things together. So personalised learning, as I said before, the student needs are the primary thing that we would be using to take the curriculum in the way that we wanted it to go. Okay, so the learning styles and the teaching styles and the resources to match student needs. So those students who needed more sensory input, those sorts of things would be available to them. Okay, again, some of those things haven't been able to take place this year, but normal years, there's a lot of on-site opportunities for kind of sensory learning opportunities within the school. So Pete, if you wanted to just explain a couple of those sensory on-site materials that we use in school.
Yeah, it wouldn't just be sensory based as well. It's also, a lot of the students in my class benefited from the physical activity. So a lot used to go swimming, they used to do rebound. I think the aim more next year is to have some sort of health-based activity during the day, every day of the week, because they benefit from that, and not just, as we've had to do this year, staying in the same classroom. A lot of mine is based on short activities, because they don't concentrate for a prolonged period of time, so they need sensory activities mixed in during the lesson, just to help them. Very tactile based, sense of smell, movement, touch, feel, everything like that is really important. So we try and use that during the day, because they're just not able to concentrate for really long periods of time.
Thank you, Pete. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to, as Pete said, we're looking at those preparing for adulthood headings, and we're going to be delivering a curriculum in both cohorts within sixth form that are going to be focused on those meeting those needs. One of those being health. Okay, so we're going to be looking at in the personal development times throughout the day, which is 2 periods during the day, we're going to be having a focus on health. So whether that is healthy relationships or healthy physical responses and things like that, kind of looking to kind of keep physically, emotionally well and healthy. Okay, so keeping strong, fit and healthy, basically that's the main sorts of things that we're going to be doing, and looking at healthy diets and things like that as well. So that's something that all cohorts are going to be doing. Okay, a massive focus on independent living. One of the really beneficial things of this year, when there was periods of lockdown, was to get to know the students in their own homes. Okay, so talking to parents on Zoom and team meetings, and kind of encouraging students to be actually actively involved in their own independent living at home. Okay, so we would help to facilitate that by providing them opportunities to increase their independence within school, by learning some of those skills. And again, this is both cohorts, kind of some of those independent skills, such as some of the making hot drinks and snacks. Okay, so some of the cooking, washing up, kind of, you know, domestic tasks, and just gaining confidence from living independently and being able to control the environments where they live. Okay, and again, we'd be looking at kind of a safety aspect with that. So of keeping safe within the community, keeping safe within the home. So everything that we do when we're looking at kind of whether it's health, it's or independent living, it's about kind of keeping safe whilst doing that as well. Okay. So the functional skills, we're going to be continuing with this functional skills, where the two cohorts have their slightly different under slightly different names. So English for the semi-formal cohort and communication for those for the pre-formal learners, maths and my understanding. And again, there's a significant amount of things that we're going to be doing all the way through every piece of work that we do, which is going to be around English and communication. Okay, and so like when we're giving instructions to complete some independent living tasks, that is an English task, okay, of understanding instructions and following instructions. Now, speaking to Pete earlier on as well, traditionally on the pre-formal timetable, like communication has been allocated a 1 hour slot. And as Pete said before, the students sometimes in some diversity groups have challenges concentrating for extended periods of time. So Pete's just going to explain a little bit more about how communication would look for a pre-formal department as well.
I think communication is probably the most important aspect of what we do during the curriculum, and it runs through everything we do during the day. It doesn't matter what the lesson is. So communication can be used in the PEC system, so picture exchange communication system, to make choices, because even though we might think choice making is quite a simple thing, for some of our learners it's quite important and something they find difficult to do. So they might, if they had a PEC's book, they might go and get a symbol, bring the symbol to a member of staff, and then they would get whatever they're asking for. So it might be a drink, it might be some sort of sensory activity, it might be a book to read. Not everybody accesses PECs. Some use iPad, so My Choice or Polo Quota Go to make choices, so they'd use that. It might just be, as Richard said, given an instruction, so go and get a knife. Just going back to kind of independent living, lots of the things that we take for granted are very complicated for our students. So recognising a knife, a fork and a spoon, making a sandwich might be quite easy for some people, but for some it's difficult. So communication really runs through everything we do. It doesn't really matter what the lesson is. That's the important thing that we're trying to focus on during different lessons.
So just while we're back on the slide for independent living, I'm just going to catch up on something that, you know, independent living, we're like the English and the like will be linked in with the independent living. So, you know, it's kind of maths in everyday life, using money and things like that. So that would link quite nicely in with our independent living. Okay, Charlotte just wanted to explain a little bit more about how the functional skills will work for the semi-formal department as well.
Yeah, so in terms of English, it might be things like sending an email, how to access social media or the internet. It could be things like making a phone call, or just using functional skills as part of independent living in the community. So going to the shop, being able to write a list, and then obviously going to the till and paying for that as well. In terms of, they'll be thinking about the future, so it might be things like writing an application form and starting to think about their personal information and how they can apply that in the future.
Okay. Fantastic, thank you, well done. So again, community inclusion is something that we want to kind of make a really key and integral part and it's been a real shame that this year we haven't been able to do that. But there's been, you know, challenges for everybody worldwide. So, but it's something that we want to make sure that we're kind of adding onto the timetable, which is a key part of what we do in sixth form. And again, it's the opportunity for the students to put into practice some of those functional skills that Charlotte was just talking about, and that would be relevant to Pete's students as well. Okay, and in the semi-formal cohort of being in a supermarket, finding those items that are regular things on the shopping list, and doing that over a period of time would make those opportunities kind of more relevant and kind of more capable for our students to be able to do. Okay, and other opportunities that people have had with community inclusion. So last year our students went and completed some voluntary work at Telford Town Park. They also completed some voluntary work at Monkmoor Police Station, where they revamped a garden area at the police station. And one of the things that the students really benefited from during that time was interacting with the police, and the police were really so complimentary about our students, in the fact that they not only kind of went and did an amazing job of the work of of improving the garden, but they interacted so positively with the police officers, and the police officers really kind of have found that we had set up for January this to be starting again. Okay, so I'd had conversations with the police in the autumn term, in September, October time, where we'd set up things ready to go in January. And then unfortunately, with the national lockdown again, that's got put on the back burner again. But I'm in contact with the police again, and they would like, I can't say, I can't explain something, a success any better than when the people want you back in to do it again. Because if you'd gone in and you hadn't done anything of any value, they certainly wouldn't be inviting you back. And the police are very keen to get us back in. And again, it gives us that opportunity for us to walk to a location which is nearby, for the students to really see the purpose in what they're thinking. And they were also, a number of the students attended an awards ceremony where they were given a commendation at the High Sheriff's Award, which was a really incredible moment for the students, and something that sixth form as a department was very proud of. So lots and lots of different community inclusion opportunities. And if anybody else, I'll take questions. Yeah, go for it.
Right, this is all absolutely brilliant. And like Charlotte was saying about our students, which is so important, learning, you know, their address, how to send an email, yada yada. And then we're doing community inclusion. Our children in young, you know, the young adults, but they're so vulnerable. So I hope that work's being done around them realising that you can't just go up to every Tom, Dick and Harry and go, hi, my name's, I live at, do you know what I mean? Because I think that is vitally important as well, that, you know, our students, the majority of our students aren't just going to go out on their own, are they?
No, so we've got on a little document that I've got here. I'm just going to, like, the very first topic on community inclusion, is social skills, getting on with other people, and safe people. So it's kind of like, this is an autumn one. It's interacting with others, group activities, accepting support from others to keep safe, identity badging, where do safe people work? So, you know, what tends to happen in that autumn term, okay, would be before any off-site opportunities went on, there would be a period of getting to know the class groups, getting to know the students, and kind of doing some preparation work to ensure that safety aspect is fully implemented, and if there was any reason to suggest that anyone was particularly more vulnerable, okay, then decisions would be made about how to provide them with some additional support, maybe through increased staffing numbers and things like that. But it's something that they're not just going to be thrown out into the community without appropriate support, and the work would have been done to ensure that all students would be safe before they were going out into the community. Yeah, so thanks for that question. Brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to move on a little bit. So employability and voluntary work. So some of our students might not end up in paid employment, but a lot of our students have the capability of performing employment on a voluntary basis and having the opportunity to show what they can do towards being employed. Okay, we're never going to set a cap on anyone's ability to achieve things in sixth form. So we're going to push people as far as we possibly can do and provide them with all those opportunities that we can. But employability is just going to be about them kind of carrying out some of those jobs that we were talking about in the community, and learning skills for the future pathways that they're going to be on. So some of our students will follow post Sevendale a social care pathway, okay, and some of our students will follow a kind of a learning for life pathway. And so the learning for life pathway and work skills kind of follows the kind of employability route of them being able to follow work opportunities and follow pathways such as our other colleges which are available to them after Sevendale, which is gardening, kind of customer services, health and safety, and horticulture and things like that. So being able to follow instructions in a kind of employment style is something that we're going to be providing some skills for them to do in Sevendale before they leave. Okay, I'm going to just keep going. So again, there's that social care inclusion. So again, we've got some quite close links with social care providers, and what in a normal year we would hope that every student who was going to be following a social care inclusion pathway would have had the opportunity to have visited in school time their future social care provider and provide them with transition opportunities. Obviously, that hasn't been able to happen this year, but we work quite closely with those social care providers, and we also we produce a document in school which is a skills tracking document. And the skills tracking document basically is when students leave Sevendale following a social care pathway, their EHCP ceases, okay? And as a social care provider, they wouldn't have access to that EHCP. So sometimes there can be a little bit of a confusion about what the students can do and what they can't do. So what we've done in Sevendale is we've produced a skills tracking document, which we can then share with these social care providers, so that there's never an opportunity for their learning to stop. Because in social care post Sevendale environments, the students will continue to learn skills to be independent and life skills, okay? And we wouldn't want them to be repeating skills that they've already learned at Sevendale, okay? So we've produced this skills tracker, which will be shared with our future social care providers for some of our young people who go down a social care inclusion route, okay? Transition. So transition is another key thing. You know, the department, sixth form department, is the transition department. The transition between Sevendale Main School and post Sevendale. So everything that we're doing is going to be kind of focused on giving them the skills that they're going to need post Sevendale. And that was what our mission statement was. Okay, it's going to be linked to future interests, but and kind of, you know, their future plans. So it will be very individual for each student, but it might include things such as transition to other places. It might involve travel training. We've done things in sixth form, travel training before, you know, planning routes, okay, being able to kind of know how to get from one place to another. So transition can mean between this provision and the next provision, but also transitioning between kind of our school and another place, whether that's socially or kind of, you know, to perform a task such as shopping or anything like that. I'm going to keep moving on. So personal development, we have 2 sessions every day for personal development. PSHE, daily exercise, as we talked about. We're also going to be including SRE sessions in that, so sex and relationships educations, about learning about those relationships, how to have a positive relationships, and then also kind of learning those skills to develop positive relationships with peers, and knowing if those things were to lead onto relationships involving sex, and that they were perfectly safe when they were doing that, and aware of the risks that were involved and how to manage those things. We have done a sex and relationships education forum, which I've got a video copy of that, which some of the people who are on this one attended. If anybody else wants a copy of that video, I've still got a copy of it. I'm more than happy to send that to anyone. But daily opportunities for our students to know about themselves, healthy diet, personal hygiene, how to keep clean and healthy, and all those kinds of things, and self-care, you know, how to manage risks when they're online, changing, puberty, all those kind of relationships with parents, how that might develop, you know, as they're getting older, and all those sorts of things. Okay, and all about healthy lifestyles. Loads and loads of stuff in there, but we've got lots of time during the week for us to do that. Also, that time might be spent preparing to go out on some of these social care community inclusion opportunities. So, you know, if, like you're saying, preparing them to make sure that they get the right materials to go with them, packing their own bags, making sure that they've got the things that they're going to need for the full day. That's all part of the PSHE curriculum. Okay. During that personal development time, we're still going to be looking at working towards their EHCP outcomes. They will still have long-term outcomes and yearly targets, which they'll be working on, and it's the expectation of the school to make sure that they are delivering those EHCP outcomes. That is something that will be done in the personal development time, and that will be supported for every student within the department. Okay. Social skills, including communication, developing communication. So at all times, everything that we do is about interacting with other people, whether that's adults or whether that's with peers themselves. It's about improving those social skills and developing them. Okay. Accreditations. So within our within sixth form, all of our students will gain an ASDAN personal progress qualification, and those qualifications are awarded through the work that they would do throughout the academic year on a wide range of different topics. There's it's different for each student. So not every student within my class group will do the same units. Okay, some students, and this is what I was talking about sixth form being a very personalised department. So there's plenty of different opportunities for students to do a wide variety of units within that. But every student will get an accreditation, an ASDAN personal progress accreditation. Okay, skills tracker. as I've discussed, that will be shared with future social care providers. Okay. Enrichment visits, off-site opportunities, talked quite a lot about those sorts of things. Enrichment visits, you know, it could be things that might even be linked in with charity-based opportunities and things like that. But we want to kind of include a huge amount of off-site learning and that blended approach again. Okay. So how are we going to know that that we're doing this? Okay. Sorry. How are we going to know that we've got school tracking systems? Okay. So every teacher has lesson observations. We've got an assessment tool called Classroom Monitor. We've got evidence for learning. We've got behaviour data. So if there was ever any of those things that kind of flagged up any issues, those sorts of things would be support mechanisms would be put in place to ensure that staff were supported and that the students never kind of had an experience which wasn't a positive one in school. Okay. Personal development. So the impact is going to be that our students are going to be developed personally, that they will interact positively with you guys at home. We hope that you would see that they would be a more mature, more capable, a more competent communicator at home. Okay. So the impact also would be shown, really, this would be the key thing. How well does their student do in their next steps after Sevendale? So this is a difficult one to be able to judge the impact, because we're saying that the impact really will be evident when they've left Sevendale. But that will be for you guys at home to see whether the stuff that we've talked about during this presentation has had the impact that we hope it will have done. Okay. Okay. So this curriculum is a working and constantly developing curriculum, and it takes into account all the different student needs and the changes in the world. You know, our curriculum pre-COVID looks very different to the curriculum that it looks like now. Okay. And who knows what's going to happen in the future, but if anyone has any kind of suggestions or feedback about the curriculum that you've seen, I can send out this document that you've seen as a PDF for you, so you can have a look at this in your own time. And if you wanted to ask any questions about the curriculum or the department, we'd welcome those opportunities to discuss those now. Okay, so is there any questions about curriculum or about the department that you'd like answering?
No, I haven't got anything.
Okay, well, I'm happy. So next bit is thank you for joining, for taking the time to join this presentation. When I send out this document to you, because you've registered for this document, for this presentation, I can send you a copy because I've got your email addresses. Our email addresses are all on this document. If you've got any questions that you think of after this presentation, then please feel free to send any of us an email, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Okay, so look, if sure there's question, brilliant.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, my daughter Ruby, she's only just come back into school after Easter because we were shielding. Will they get a chance to go? I know it's difficult with all the bubbles and things, but will they have a chance to go up, because it's obviously a different part of the school, isn't it? And visit and see the teachers that are going to be with them and everything. Yes.
Okay. So the rules for groupings within school change. I think it's 22nd of June. So when that changes, that gives us the opportunity to kind of to move a little bit more fluidly through school. So yes, after in the next month, no, but after the 22nd of June, there was going to be opportunities for the students to kind of visit the new departments, the new class teachers, meet some of those staff who are going to be working with them. And that's, I mean, as I said, transition is something that we've recognised as part of our curriculum, is something that's really, really important. And transition within the school is something that is equally important. And yeah, I think it would be really valuable to allow Ruby and other students to come and see the department and things like that.
Yeah, it's a 5-hour session. All the students went with their new staff and teachers in their new classroom for about 5 hours. I don't know if they can do that this year, but it was obviously quite important a few years ago before the world ended. They do that, so I don't know. I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen. You know, they do think about this in advance, so hopefully something similar will happen, because it's good for the teachers to get to know the students as well.
Yeah.
Before everything moves on.
Do they stay with the young people that they go up with this year, or because they're obviously there for 3 years, aren't they? Do they mix with all the older ones that have gone up previously?
So yes, the students, the class groupings, they are they're flexible and they change on a year by year, because we have like each year you have year 14s who will move on and go to their post 7 options.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be kind of gaps into in class groups. But what that doesn't mean is that every year 14 student gets replaced by a year 12 student.
Yeah.
So you know, it kind of, it means that where possible, students that we know work well together, okay, would remain together if the relationships were positive. Okay, I'm not saying that's always going to be positive. So I'm sorry, not positive, possible.
Yeah.
Like the class grouping. So this year we have in sixth form we've got 4 class groups. So in the next academic year there's only 3 class groups. So again, so the class groups, but we've got a significant number, a bit larger number of students, year 14 students leaving. So the department's getting a little bit smaller. Yeah. Okay, and that's hence why the class groups, there's 1 class group being removed. Okay, so then those class groups will be, they're in the kind of final stages of being finalised at this moment, and they'll be with you shortly before the end of term. But students will have the opportunity to come. Okay. Anything else?
I'd just like to say that Charlotte has been sending us weekly bulletins of what's gone on during the week, which is brilliant, because you know, in those really silly home diaries that you can't fit anything in, whoever invented them was mad. So I find that really beneficial, because it also helps us, I think Lucy will agree, everybody will, it helps us do things with the children at the weekend, our young people, that they've done during the week. And I'd like that to continue.
So yeah, it is going to be continuing, and it might be taking a slightly different form. Okay, so sorry, you know, when you're talking about Ruby, I'm really sorry. What was your name, by the way?
Me.
Yeah.
I'm Jane Cotton. I'm Ruby Cotton.
Jane. Okay, sorry, Jane. Jane was talking about like with her student. Do you get updates via like an online platform of EAL? Is that
no, I mean, since Ruby's gone back, she's only been back sort of like 3 or 4 weeks now, isn't she? Because she's in Andrew Pickens' class. He sent us an email on a Friday just with what they've been doing.
Okay, so there's a new system that we're looking to be launching. Okay, which is kind of like an online app based system where kind of teachers might also be able to share kind of some photos with you of what the students have been have done throughout the week. So that's but in regards to the updates, the weekly updates in some form will definitely continue. It might not be the form of a weekly email, but there is a drive whole school to do weekly updates in one form or another. So yes, is the answer to will it happen? Yes, definitely. Will it stay as an email? Possibly not, but it will be to something else.
Yeah, it's just like when you've got a young person who's, limited communication, and you've only got like three lines in a book, you can't get a lot back off them. So I think that's something that's really important. And I do think going forward, if possible, and I know it's all like Pete said, once the world ended because of COVID, is for us parents to actually come into school at some point to see how our children are progressing. And because for us as parents, carers, they've gone from, basically senior school to sixth form, and we've had no we haven't been involved in that, have we? The transition is just flown, just gone, but we haven't been part of it again because of COVID. So any opportunity we could, to get us into the school, and I know it's hard at the minute. So
no. Look, I think you raise a really valid point, and so I've worked at Avondale for 8 years, and so during that time, parents have always been invited in, kind of, I'd say at least 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So the only time that hasn't happened during the 8 years that I've been here is this last year, and it's for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Is that something that we're going to look to be starting? Yes, because we know that for our students to be successful, we've got to have buy-in from the parents as well. So and the support from the parents at home. So like traditionally, those parental invites into school have tended to be the second half of the autumn term.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that is exactly going to be happening in September, but I know that it's something that parents find really valuable, and so do the students, and so do the staff in school. So it's definitely something that, but I can make a note that that's something that's been raised, and make sure that that's passed on, that you'd like to ensure that was starting again as soon as possible, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if we get to lockdown number 35, don't bother. But you never know.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
I've missed that too, I must admit. I agree with Selena. I've missed being able to come into school. Yeah, definitely. And it's understandable why, but it would be nice to think going forward. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, last year in sixth form, all the parents were invited into class in the autumn term. There was a Preparing for Adulthood event at whatever the Shrewsbury Town Football Club Stadium's called.
Yeah.
Where all kind of social care providers and colleges attended as well. And then I'm trying to think, there was something else that parents were invited to come with the students to adult day services as well. So there were at least 3 events. I think they were all within the first autumn term, and then things took a turn for the worse after.
Yeah,
that was it.
Okay, so yeah, I'm confident that I'm confident. Sorry, I just thought I just almost thought I'd lost the. I'm really confident that this that will be happening. So yeah, it's definitely
great.
All right. Look, thanks again for taking the time to, and I'll send this presentation out to you via email. And if there's any questions that you want to ask over email, just send it to me, Pete, and Charlotte, or any of us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. All right.
Right, great. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Totally wrong, isn't it? I can, but I'm just